Good evening and happy Wednesday to you all. I hope that you had a really, really good day. Um, it is day 4 of Thinning of the Veil, honoring the ancestors. And last night I had mentioned talking about a little bit what an ofrendia is about in Mexican culture when we celebrate Day of the Dead. I just changed up my altar. Just brought the elemental candles down, just so front and center, because I didn't want to go down and get the tea lights. So, but sorry, I don't know if I'm getting something or what. My sinuses are all messed up today, but ofrendia. They're basically an essential part of the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos celebration. The word itself, ofrenda, actually comes from the meaning of offerings in Spanish. And some people in Mexico set up these altars to not really worship, I shouldn't say that, but it's a way for them to honor and remember their dead loved ones. Given the fact that most people in Mexico are basically actually Catholic, they know that they only give worship to God. So make no mistake, a lot of them don't worship their ancestors. They're just giving them the respect due at this time of the year. So, not to be misconstrued. And in the process of setting it up, they clean house in order to, before they set up the ofrendia, because it is an altar. Ofrendias are usually set up on a table, and they're usually covered with some fine piece of cloth, preferably white, because it's a symbol of purity. And then they put the papel picado, which is tissue paper. It's cut tissue paper. And they set it over the tablecloth. And sometimes you'll see them done in banners that you can stream up above your table, or hang them and drape them along the edge of the table. They're just cut out with designs and stuff on them. Let's see. And you can, as you build them, they're actually done with levels. They tier them up. So that way, you can make it as high or as low as you want it on the table. And you can take boxes or whatever and just cover it all up with a cloth. Or cloths, whatever you got going on. And then they, at the top, that's basically reserved for, like, any of the stuff for their saints or their crucifix. It goes up on top of the, at the very altar of their ofrendia. There's candles that are laid out for each of the deceased relatives. And these lights are thought to guide them on their way back home. The light of the candles also is called cieras, which is wax, symbolizing Jesus Christ reborn and for faith. Flowers are especially important, and like I had mentioned last night, they use marigolds primarily to decorate their ofrendia. And flowers represent the frugality of life, or the frailty of life. Salt and water are also essential, and they are set to quench the thirst of the souls tired from their long trip, journeying back to this side and home. Water also purifies and cleanses. Another aspect is that they burn copal, and is thought to elevate prayers to God. I love white copal, and we actually burn white copal when we do ritual and sweat, actually, as well, because it's a sweet smelling aroma, and usually the ancestors really like that. So you can see how that kind of is indicative to being cultural in North America and Central America. And incense is always thought to be pleasing to deities and to the dead, no matter in a lot of other cultures as well. Pictures of dead loved ones are also placed on the ofrendia as well as sometimes maybe a piece of clothing that's a favorite of theirs, or something else, a token of them that usually gets placed on the altar. And if there's children, sometimes toys are placed on the altar. Maybe it could be a favorite stuffed animal or whatever, depending on whatever you might have left over. Food is especially prepared for the souls. Generally, they prepare favorite dishes of their loved ones that have passed. It could be, if you're in Mexico, it could be like tamales, or, it could be mole, fresh fruit, arroz rojo, which is basically red rice. There's hot chocolate, dried fruit, and sometimes, depending on the ancestor, it could be, they could lay out cigarettes or any other liquor that they might have liked, and place it on the altar. I tend to, I will place candy on the altar. For one thing, my dad loved it. My brother liked it too. And there's just certain things that they preferred, and they're kind of similar, which is because all of us like it. So Tootsie Rolls were a favorite of my dad's and my brother too. So some of these things tend to make it, those are things I always basically put on the altar. And besides, it's Halloween and they're everywhere. So it kind of works out. It doesn't work out for my waistline. No, I'm kidding. A lot of the stuff that I put on the altar, I do not consume. I leave it there, and that is their offering. And it's kind of like another thing Native Americans kind of do too, is when we go out and we offer like just a plate to the dead. And sometimes it's a good way to appease a spirit. You never know. You just take it and you place it outside. Like at the end of when we do Sweat Lodge, we take a plate out and we offer it up in the fire as a show of appreciation, and letting them have that. So that too, you can see how in many ways it's the similarity and carrying over even between cultures is just paying that respect to our ancestors by doing that. Let's see. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Pan de muerto, which is bread of the dead, which is absolutely amazing, by the way, is also another thing that gets put on it. It's usually shaped in the form of like a cross skull and bones, or just a skull, to make it look more festive. It doesn't have to be shaped that way. You can make it however you want to. But if you were to go to the mercado or to the market and buy them, they would probably be more fancy and ornate. And sometimes they'll take the marigold petals and they'll lay them out and they'll do them in the shape of the cross, sometimes in front of the ofrendia, as a way of directing the souls that are coming into that space, to let them know that the altar is there. And sometimes they'll crush up the petals and they'll lay them out as a trail into the house as well, so that they know where they're going. And then of course sugar skulls and galgas, was it? Oh, good Lord, I always mess this one. Galgas skeletons are can be put on the altar as well. And that's pretty much the gist of how it gets set up. And it can be quite a big affair depending on how big your ofrenda is. Just an FYI, in case you did not know, the DIA in Detroit is having ofrendia, celebrating Dia de los Muertos. The opening date for this event is October 13th, and it runs through November 12th. And they will be showcasing 20 different ofrendias designed by local artists who had to have their submissions back in August. But I'm really looking forward to going to this event and seeing how other people set up their ofrendia. So If you're really interested and want to know, I invite you to pick any time between now and then to go down. I will say on the 14th of October, on that weekend, they are going to be doing an Aztec dance. And they're going to be doing another thing for Day of the Dead as well. I plan on going because I think that would just be really neat to experience. I've seen Aztec dancing in video done out in California, but never here. So I really want to go for sure to experience that. But if you want to see what an ofrendia looks like and maybe see what these people's renditions are of their own, I do invite you to go down and check it out. It sounds like it's going to be a really, really fun event. I will leave you with this last poem that I had last night that I didn't say, but it just really rings true for me. Closing my eyes to connect with my roots, I sense the wisdom of my ancestors and my grandmother's smiles. And I found that it was taken from the Gossamer's Path online. Pretty cool place. Anyways, if you tuned in, thank you again for hanging out with me again another night. I hope that you found a little bit of this to be a little bit more insightful. Not sure what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. I'm probably going to share some more poetry. Maybe just keep it a little bit shorter. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to sharing more with you. Maybe I'll talk about the Aztecs and their version of heaven. There we go. And kind of like how they look at the dead. What happens to the dead when they die? There we go. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. I hope that you have a beautiful night. I hope that you had a beautiful day again. Like I said again, thank you for hanging out with me. Aho. Much love to you all. Thank you again. Namaste. Night.